Welcome to Trending Upward, and on today's podcast, we're going to look at how to follow spiritual authorities. And when we consider this, we're going to look at go as fast as the person in front of you. In 1 Corinthians 11 and verse 1, be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. There is a law of driving. The law is you can only go as fast as the person that is in front of you. The same concept if you are in line somewhere. You're in line at the coffee shop or you are in line at a restaurant. You can only go as fast as the line. You can only go as fast as the person that is in front of you. It does not matter how quickly you would like to go. That is irrelevant. All that matters is how fast the person is going in front of you. And you know, this law applies to life in general, but it especially applies to the things of God. If I were to ask, how many of you have ever tried to outrun God? You would testify that you have. I heard a story the other day. A man went to go visit a preacher from days of old, and he was pacing the floor like a caged lion. And they asked, "Preacher, what's wrong?" And he said, "I am in a hurry, but God isn't." Now, if you think about this, what happens when you and I try to go faster than the person that is in front of us? You run into them. You could run over them. You can also run around them, which is to get in front of the person who is attempting to be out front. Now, when it comes to God, you and I can definitely get in His way. You and I can definitely get out ahead of Him and begin to assume the position of leadership over our own lives and our own circumstances. Now, what causes us to do this? It is impatience. We want it now. We want to get there now. We want to get it done now. And when we perceive that the person in front of us is not going fast enough or working fast enough, and we have a tendency to speed up, but remember, you can only go as fast as the person that is in front of you. And I tell you today, perhaps some of you may have something that you have given to God for Him to take control of. Now, I encourage you to allow Him to take lead on it, for Him to be able to work it out. If you are not careful through impatience, you will fail at following and get in God's way, or worse, get out in front of Him and mess it all up. And good people, and I mean great people in the Bible, got ahead of God and it backfired on them. I was thinking about Abraham and Sarah. If you were to reference Genesis 16, verses 1 and 2, Abraham and Sarah had a promise. Sarah, through her impatience, convinced Abraham to go around God, as they believed God was moving too slow for them. They took their life and the leadership of it into their own hands, and it backfired. Now, if you remember the story, how did it backfire? A son by the name of Ishmael. We see the description of him if you reference verses 11 and 12. But notice this, as I found this week in my studies. Abraham ran ahead of God, and the consequences are still felt in the Middle East today. The Arab nations descended from Ishmael, the son of the maidservant, and Israel descended from Abraham's legitimate heir, Isaac, and they continue to be bitter enemies. Who is fighting today? Palestine and Israel. The consequences of Abraham and Sarah's sin is still felt today. Now, this is Abraham, the friend of God, the one who God calls His friend. This is a reminder to us that our wrongdoings can outlive us to the umpteenth generation. And it all came about by getting out in front of God, trying to become their own leader. It's been said to do the right thing at the wrong time makes the right thing the wrong thing. And I tell you, the quicker we learn this, the better off we'll all be. I encourage you, don't get in a hurry and outrun God. Every one of us in here are followers of Christ. In 1 Corinthians 11 and verse 1, be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. And then down 2 verses in verse 3, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. So when you think of headship, the word head means a chief, a principal person, a leader, a commander, one who has the first rank or place. Then it cites Ephesians 5 and verse 23, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. So we aren't diving into the headship of the husband in the marital relationship. We're going to stay on track, but we see where Christ is to be out front in our lives. And through that, we also follow his steps. And there is safety there. Now, this is important for us to maintain, and we think about Deuteronomy 31:8, and the Lord, he it is that doth go before thee, and he will be with thee, and he will not fail thee, neither forsake thee. Fear not, neither be dismayed. So God goes out ahead of us, and it is important that we follow him and that we trust him with our life, that we trust him with our every movement. I don't doubt for a minute that there aren't some who would be listening to this podcast today that don't know where their feet are currently. There's things going on. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to turn. They may feel like their hands are tied, so to speak. But I just want to encourage you today with the fact that God knows. God knows where you're going. And if you follow him, then you're going to land where God would have you to land. He is leading. He is out front. He goes out before us, and we just follow him. And I tell you what, when you follow God and you just follow his leading and you surrender to what it is that he has for you, it can only turn out in a way that brings honor and glory to him, and his will be accomplished. So I invite you today just to trust the Lord and follow the Lord at his pace. Follow the Lord in his timing. I invite you not to get out ahead of God. Every time I've ever got out ahead of God in my life on this spiritual journey, it has always backfired on me because I chose to be a God to myself instead of allowing God to be God for me and just trusting him and obeying and following him. So I invite you today, just follow the Lord. Find the Lord's will for the situation. Find the Lord's will for the moment, which leads to the hour. Find the Lord's will for the hour, and that which leads to knowing the Lord's will for that day, and then just knowing the Lord's will for that week and where you are currently, and just follow the Lord and just trust in him each step at a time. The Lord knows what he's doing, even when we don't know what's happening. The Lord knows even when we don't know where we're going. The Lord knows where we are going, and we just simply have to just trust him and walk with him and follow him, and then his plan becomes clearer and clearer as the days go by. But I invite you today just to trust in the Lord and be reminded you can only go as fast as the person that is in front of you. And in the spiritual life, it's the Lord. And yes, he will place spiritual authorities in our lives and in the homes, but those authorities should be following Christ. And so I invite you to be reminded of these things today and just follow the Lord today.